Hi guys, what is up? What is good? What is Gucci? It is your girl Paige Christie here, bringing you yet another video. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about some plus size community shenanigans, and none other than the one, the only Tess Holliday, nay Munster. Now, as you guys know, over the years I have done multiple videos on Tess Holliday and just some of the hypocrisies and outlining a lot of the hypocrisies that come from Tess Holliday's mouth, such as saying that she has anorexia nervosa, which she has subsequently since changed to a restrictive eating disorder, to just flat out lying and scamming her entire audience, allegedly. If you guys are interested in seeing any of my other content to do with Tess Holliday, from her alleged scam to her alleged ED, I will leave that in a playlist somewhere above my head. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So recently, there was a situation that took place between Tess Holliday as well as Gwyneth Paltrow. Now, if you don't know who Gwyneth Paltrow is, she is an American actress, a social media person, I guess now. She was also known for naming one of her children Apple, as well as dating the lead singer from Coldplay. But right now, she's pretty much known as a wellness expert, if you will, since the launch of her website and magazine and subsequent products such as "This candle smells like my vajayjay," Goop. I mean, the website is called Goop, not that the vagina candle smells like goop. Oh my God. Anyway, a few days ago, Gwyneth Paltrow decided to hop onto her dear friend, as well as, I guess you would call it, her personal wellness guru, Dr. Will Cole, on his podcast, The Art of Being Well. Now, if you don't know who Will Cole is a world-renowned author, dietitian, nutritionalist, as well as a doctor who specializes in something, girl. His books can be found at various different bookstores, as well as places like Barnes & Noble, Target, Amazon, and even on the Amazon Kindle. But his most famous book is called The Ketotarian, which is a almost plant-based ketogenic dietary book. Dr. Will Cole's books are not only critically acclaimed, but also endorsed by various different medical practitioners. So I feel like it's somewhat safe to say that this doctor knows exactly what they're talking about, at least to a medical degree. Anyway, Gwyneth Paltrow decided to sit down with her friend on his podcast to talk about some of her wellness activities. And a clip of this podcast became extremely viral on TikTok, as well as on other social media such as Twitter, etc., etc. This is what Gwyneth Paltrow had to say.
What's your wellness routine look like now?
I eat dinner early in the evening. I do a nice intermittent fast. I usually eat something about 12. I have coffee, but I really like soup for lunch. I have bone broth for lunch a lot of the days. For dinner, I try to eat, according to paleo. So lots of vegetables. It's really important for me to support my detox.
Now, as you guys can see, the question that was asked of Gwyneth Paltrow was, what is her wellness routine? What does her wellness routine look like now? And I feel like for me, at least, when we are talking about a wellness routine, for me, my wellness routine would differ like severely from my day-to-day routine. If I was having a day where I was focused more so on my wellness than anything else, then I would have a mindset of doing things that I know make me feel good. That is at least how I took the question. However, on social media, everybody else seemed to have taken that question as like what it is that Gwyneth Paltrow does every single day to nourish her body. From dietitians to the fat acceptance community, literally everybody has had something to say about Gwyneth Paltrow's wellness routine and whether or not it falls under the line of disordered eating. But nobody else was louder in their critique of Gwyneth Paltrow than, you've guessed it, Tess Holliday. So Tess Holliday hops onto TikTok to stitch a video of Gwyneth Paltrow talking about her wellness routine and basically centralizes the whole thing around herself. Take a look.
I have coffee, but I really like soup for lunch. I have bone broth for lunch a lot.
You know, what I find most mental about this is that we've known for years that she is okay with glorifying her eating disorder. And I'm not judging because I have an eating disorder.
Ah, yes, you have a restrictive eating disorder as well. The face of anorexia nervosa, everybody.
Bone broth is not a suitable meal. And then to end your day with just eating vegetables?
She states that bone broth is not a suitable meal. However, if you're a person such as myself, I suffer with IBS, a bone broth is a very suitable meal on my wellness days because it's a day where I'm trying to calm down my gut.
But yet people continue to give her airtime, to give her a platform, to take her advice because everyone is too afraid to be fat.
So this is where we get to the point of Tess Holliday centralizing everything again around herself. This is what Tess Holliday does every single time there is anything to do with wellness, with body, with anything to do with body positivity, loving the skin you're in. It has to be gatekept. There has to be stipulations on it. It has to be rules for me, but not for thee. Again, I have to reiterate that we are talking about a wellness routine and not something that is an everyday routine. In fact, Gwyneth Paltrow made a video on YouTube where she details her entire day's eating habits. So it's quite clear that the wellness routine is vastly different to her day-to-day routine. Take a look.
I'm Gwyneth Paltrow, and this is everything I eat in a day. First thing I do when I wake up is oil pulling with coconut oil. So I have raw organic coconut oil. I put a spoonful in my mouth. While I'm opening curtains and everything, I'm sort of swishing it around. And I have coffee. I will get a smoothie from somewhere. So I try to have a smoothie that has some good fat and some protein and some fiber. Or sometimes if I'm in a rush, I just eat these delicious peanut butter protein bars, which I can't remember the name of them, but you have to keep them in the refrigerator. I eat them all the time. Then I try to eat something like, like an egg sandwich or something that will sort of help me. I usually have lunch at about between 12 and 12:30 at the office. Like a salad with some protein. They're using jicama for taco shells. They'll do like a really clean version of a turkey burger. Usually at about 3 or 4, maybe I'll have some cashews or pretzels or something like that. And then I'll usually have a cup of green tea with that. And then for dinner, my kids love Asian food, so we'll have some kind of Asian fish. Noodles on the side. My daughter's vegetarian, so we always have one kind of vegetarian entree. One pot dinners are great. And that's kind of my new thing, which is like a vodka martini, but with the cocktail onion. I love French fries, which is a well-known fact. French fries are sort of my favorite meal. I do love pasta. I really do.
So as we can see, on a day-to-day basis, Gwyneth Paltrow has a varied diet to some degree. Not one that excites me, but I guess everybody has their things. So I feel like based on those two clips, we can take away that the wellness routine is not the everyday routine. And honestly, that is exactly how I read it. However, that is not how everybody else did, and not Tess Holliday. Because Tess Holliday continues telling an anecdotal story about a time that she was around Gwyneth Paltrow. Take a look.
I was at a big fancy Hollywood event years ago, and Gwyneth Paltrow was there, or as she had everyone refer to her as GP.
I'm trying to work out what's wrong with having individuals refer to you by a name that you want to respond to. Are we not in 2023 now? I thought that this is what we were doing.
And she was at a table with Rachel Zoe, and I'm not going to get too deep into Rachel Zoe, but I have my own opinions. And it was a seated dinner, and we had a set course, a set meal. And she loudly had to let everyone know in this very tiny room with Natalie Portman, Catherine O'Hara, you name it, they were there, that her and her table, which were a handful of her close friends, as she said, that they were going to have something different. Pizza, but not just any pizza, cauliflower crust pizza with no cheese.
Oh no, not cauliflower crust pizza with no cheese. Maybe that's what her and her friends had discussed before the meal, that's what they wanted to eat.
And I'm not shading anyone that likes cauliflower pizza. Go on, do your thing. But everyone just laughed like it was no big deal.
Yes, everybody laughed like it was no big deal because it was no big deal.
And I'm not here to judge what people put in their bodies, especially as someone that has a restrictive eating disorder. And I get mocked all the time because I'm fat. So how dare I talk about not feeding my body, right? But this shit isn't normal. And it's affecting a whole other generation of young folks who think that eating like GP is appropriate, is okay.
And this is where we get into the baseline of what is the hypocrisy, is that for so long, especially with the body positive community, there has been this rhetoric, if you will, that showcasing yourself, eating, large portions of food or food that is condemned as bad and nasty and bad for you isn't the devil. And the adverse opinion to that on social media by various different individuals, politicians and dietitians alike, is that this is glorifying obesity and that it is affecting a whole generation of individuals who think that eating like that is okay. Are we hearing some kind of similarity between what it is that naysayers of the body positive community have had to say about people like Tess Holliday versus what Tess Holliday has to say about a person living in their thin body and eating the way it is that they choose to eat? We're allowed to point out that this is disordered eating when it comes to a thin body, but when it comes to a plus size body, for some bizarre reason, we're not allowed to say that this is also disordered eating, but disordered on the opposite end of the spectrum, like binge eating disorder, etc., etc. Because, oh no, Tess wants to remind everybody that she has a restrictive eating disorder.
And I'm not saying that I have all the answers and I have it figured out, because I sure the hell don't. But with all the talk about Ozempic and all these other weight loss drugs, it's exhausting. It is okay to feed your body. Carbs are not the devil. Fat isn't bad. And I mean fat in your food and fat on your body. It's not bad. But hey, anything for $1, anything for the cost of people's mental health.
I just so enjoy that last phrase. Anything for $1, anything at the expense of other people's health. Girl, this is what people have been saying about the plus size body positive community for so long. That it is anything at the expense of other people's bodies and physical well-being. Now, for me personally, I cannot stress this enough. I could care less what a person looks like, and I could care less what it is that they choose to put in that body, because it is none of my business. But the hypocrisy is loud and clear when it comes to Gwyneth Paltrow and the way it is that Tess Holliday views her body, and in respect to that, views the way that she decides to treat her body, which again, according to the body positivity community, is none of anybody's business. And the wild thing about it all is that I stand by that premise, but for some bizarre reason, Tess Holliday just doesn't. She just can't fathom everybody not feeling the way that she feels and not looking the way that she looks. Okay, so shortly after this TikTok was posted, there was another video from Tess Holliday where somebody had left this comment. The comment reads, "I've adored you since you started plus size pinup in 2014, and I feel this 100%. And as exhausting as GLP-1 medication is, it's saving some of our lives." So this is in regards to things such as Ozempic and other things and methods and pills and drugs, I guess, that people are using to help aid in their weight loss journey.
I wanted to apologize for not being maybe clear on this in my video, but obviously the medication being used for what its intended purposes is absolutely fine with me. I want people to have their medication, and I want people to know that because of celebrities like this taking advantage of a drug and using it in a way that it wasn't intended, it's causing real harm to people like this that need their medication and can't get it. So I'm not judging anyone who takes this medication. Hell, I'm not even judging you if you want to use it to lose weight. It's your body. It's just when people that have huge platforms overuse and abuse and glamorize things like this that cause real harm, because there's a massive trickle-down effect whether they want to admit it or not.
However, it's the last sentence that really speaks to me. It's when she says, you know, it's when people with large platforms overuse and glamorize things like this that can cause real harm. And again, sis, this is what people have been saying about the body positivity community for such a long time.
The stupidity for me and the ignorance for me, and realizing that fat people can in fact have disordered eating and be, because we shouldn't judge people based on how they look, period, or their perceived health. Get a life.
And yet you can't understand that having a large voice within the world of body positivity, in fact, period, as a celebrity, makes you on the same level as Gwyneth Paltrow in terms of having the ability to use your influence to promote certain life choices. However, again, I could give a crap about what it is that you choose to do with your body, but it seems as if Tess gives a crap about what it is that you choose to do with your thin body.
Apparently we're supposed to view it as a huge step forward for body positivity. What a load of old baloney. The cover is just as dangerous and misguided as celebrating size 0 models. What do you say to Piers?
I mean, there's nothing really to say. At the end of the day, we all have issues with our body, and I'm sure Piers does as well. And, you know, I think we could go a long way with a little bit of respect and kindness, but unfortunately, that didn't happen in this case.
It's just when people that have huge platforms overuse and abuse and glamorize things like this that cause real harm, because there's a massive trickle-down effect whether they want to admit it or not.
Being good, I'm a bad bitch. I'm sick of trying to tell me how to live.
I'm so glad that I got this message while I was eating a french fry.
But hey, anything for $1, anything for the cost of people's mental health.
But Tess Holliday doesn't stop there. Oh no, she then goes over to her Instagram where she posts about Glamour's article speaking about Gwyneth Paltrow's wellness routine. And in the article it reads, Gwyneth Paltrow is being called an almond mom after describing her wellness routine. To which Tess Holliday then decided to do an edit on that title, which reads, Gwyneth Paltrow is being called an almond mom after renaming her profoundly disordered eating as wellness, with the caption that reads as follows. I fixed it for you at Glamour Mag, heart emoji. Gwyneth Paltrow is not describing her wellness routine. Restrictive eating is not wellness. I know firsthand. Highlighting someone who normalizes undereating is more than dangerous, it's violent. Hearing this interview all over social media right now has infuriated and saddened me to no end. At Dear Me Studio and Dr. Wilco should take accountability for allowing the casual discussion of salvation through food or lack of it and normalize starvation as promoting wellness, not the deadly reality that disordered wellness is. Ultra thinness has always been rewarded in Hollywood, and Hollywood influences humans all over the world. The glorification of this dangerous body ideal damages entire communities and lives. I have very publicly discussed my eating disorder, and that is my choice. My intention is to help others feel seen by sharing my experiences and opinions. This is particularly important for humans who live with food and body challenges, but lack access to diagnosis or care or feeling seen. I don't share my disordered eating story to glorify it or to encourage others to mimic my behavior. I am sharing this to encourage you to take care of yourself. In response to this interview and in response to all that we're holding right now, I am tired of having to say this over and over again, but it's normal and okay and critical to feed your body. Carbs are not the devil, protein isn't the only food group, and fat in your food and fat on your body is good. When will we start demanding better of our media? And this is a problematic thing that happens with social media, where people take one clip and blow it completely out of proportion. Tess Holliday is not the only body positive activist on social media, or factivist, whatever it is that they want to call themselves right now, who is now on social media talking about this. That Jamil lady, she has been talking about it as well. There are just so many different body positive activists who have been talking about this situation and putting their perceived views of health, which is half the problem, is the plus size people and the body positivity community are saying perceived health. You cannot look at perceived health. You cannot see what perceived health is. You cannot look at a person's body and perceive what their health is. However, when it comes to Gwyneth Paltrow, people can look at her and have a perceived notion of what their health is, or how it is that they are choosing to nourish their body. They can be extra critical of those kind of things. Whereas if I was to point a finger and say, hey, Tess Holliday, I saw you sit down and eat a whole bag of donuts, and to me that is a very unhealthy and binge-worthy practice, something that would exhibit to me binge eating disorder, I can't sit around and say that about somebody else's perceived health because I don't know. So why don't people like Tess take that own rhetoric, the rhetoric it is that they created and formatted and put into the public domain, why don't they take that rhetoric and actually stand by it, instead of every single time there is a person or a body that contradicts their own, that they feel the need that they need to be vocal? And where is this same kind of energy of being so vocalized? Like, if it's okay to be vocalized, and I'm not saying that it is okay to be extremely vocal about other people's bodies. I am completely and totally against sitting there and discussing for 5 hours somebody else's body type. Why is there not this same energy when it comes to talking about other people's disordered eating? For instance, there are a lot of people who have had a lot to say about people such as Eugenia Cooney. Now, whilst I personally don't think it's good to sit down and discuss somebody's body, their weight, the way it is that they look, their perceived health, etc., etc. on social media, there are still people out there who want to do that. But we don't hear boo from a ghost when we're talking about the likes of Eugenia Cooney. All of a sudden, the plus size, fat acceptance, body positivity community are stum. They have nothing to say. Even though we are now watching in real time another individual who clearly has disordered eating. But we want to talk about Gwyneth Paltrow and Dr. Will Cole because they believe in the practice of fasting, as if fasting hasn't been going on for centuries and centuries and centuries, since literally the dawn of man and the dawn of time. There are documented benefits to fasting, and the idea that fasting would be a part of an individual's wellness routine makes sense. But she didn't just take it there, she also had to take it a step too far. Yes, that's right, because in that post on Instagram, Tess Holliday then also decided to take a quote out of context. The quote with her face on reads as follows: "I'd rather smoke crack than eat cheese." To which she responded to that in the comment section where somebody had said, "Dear God, did she really say that about cheese? Yikes, it almost feels as if this resurgence of Y2K fashion trends is also bringing back the promotion of extremely thin physique that was all the rage. I know thinness has always been popular, but it seems that the body positivity movement we've had for the last several years isn't quite as trendy as being starving supermodel thin is in the mainstream media. This is so sad." To which Tess responded by saying, "Yes, she said it in an interview. You can Google it. Crying face emoji." Okay then, Tess. Let's Google it. Google's free, right? Let's take a look. Okay, so here we have it. It says, "I'd rather smoke crack than eat cheese from a tin." You know, cheese, the processed cheese it is that you get in the cans that are full of air and foam and additives that do nothing constructive for the body at all. Yeah, that cheese. In 2011, Gwyneth Paltrow famously revealed that she would rather smoke crack than eat cheese from a can. 4 years later, Goop's arbiter of taste is not backing down from her stance. During a question and answer session with readers on her Goop blog on Monday, April 14th, the It's All Easy cookbook author, 43, was asked if she still felt the same way. "Hell yes," she wrote. "You know, crack might be extreme, but spray cheese is not my kind of party." But I bet you're thinking to yourself, okay, so they disagree on this one point. At least she's not being a bitch. Oh yes, she was. A commenter on her Instagram said, "Oh dear, and that broth diet is what's causing her skin to..." Never mind. To which Tess Holliday left some laughing emojis. The way that she was acting was so bad that people literally had to pick Tess up on it. This is what another commenter had to say. Hey Tess, let's make sure that we're not allowing women in the comments to talk badly about her body and skin in here. Clearly this is disordered eating, but you should know that you can't control appearance through ED, especially drawn out ED. To which Tess responded, agreed. Another commenter agreed with Tess by saying, I don't understand why someone would give her a platform when she is so unwell. I feel for her. She obviously doesn't know that she's unwell or that the way that she eats is dangerous and is damaging to herself and others. I hope that she gets help and that people stop giving a platform to this raging eating disordered content which is coming out from her. To which Tess responded with, agree. But then somebody else, common sense, entered the room, chat, and this is what they had to say. They said, the same could be said for Tess. Why give her a platform when she is clearly unwell? People say that all the time. So how about everybody stop shaming both of them and let people live? These comments literally laughing at Gwyneth and rude comments about her looks, weight and skin is so sad. Women laughing and shaming her. I'm truly surprised and sad to see this when Tess is all about the opposite, but now she is jumping onto it too. Absolutely agree. I could not have said it any better myself. We need to start respecting people on both ends of the spectrum. If somebody is exhibiting disordered eating, you can choose to listen to that voice or you can choose not to. Unfortunately for everybody, there are going to be triggering people everywhere that we go, and life does not come with a trigger warning. And all because that isn't what health looks like to her. In another comment, somebody had said on TikTok, and she gets IVs every day. She was getting one during that interview. To which Tess responded, absolutely unhinged. Now, IVs are pretty much like a rich people thing. I've had friends who are a lot richer than me who have IVs. Apparently, they are really good for putting electrolytes back into the body, especially if you have overindulged. For instance, if you've got a hangover or something, and a lot of the rich people are doing it. It seems to be a way to waste money now. There are numerous different people all across Hollywood and all within the rich and famous who don't show any traits of disordered eating at all who are getting IVs. This isn't limited to individuals who want to pump the electrolytes in because they're missing it from their diet. I think this is putting 2 and 2 and making 7 at this moment. So Gwyneth Paltrow did eventually respond to all of the social media backlash it was that she was receiving, not specific to Tess Holliday. And this is what Gwyneth Paltrow had to say.
Hi. Okay, so let's jump into this. So I think it's important for everybody to know that I was doing a podcast with my doctor. So this is a person that I've been working with for over 2 years now to deal with some chronic stuff. And I have long COVID, so I have been, and the way it manifests for me is very high levels of inflammation over time. So I've been working with Dr. Cole to really focus on foods that aren't inflammatory, right? So lots of vegetables, cooked vegetables, all kinds of protein, healthy carbs to really lower inflammation. And it's been working really well. This is, based on my medical results, and extensive testing that I've done over. So just to finish, this was a transparent look at a conversation between me and my doctor. It's not meant to be advice for anybody else. It's really just what has worked for me, and it's been very powerful and very positive. This is not to say that, I eat this way all day, every day. And by the way, I eat far more than bone broth and vegetables. I eat full meals. And I also have a lot of days of, eating whatever I want and eating, French fries and whatever. But my baseline, and it really has been like to try to be healthy and to eat foods that, will really calm the system down. So I hope that helps.
So in this, Gwyneth Paltrow basically says that this is just something that worked for her, and with her conditions that she's been suffering with long COVID as well as some other chronic illnesses, she feels that she needs to do some stuff to help with inflammation. That's something that I can at least somewhat relate to with my IBS. Sometimes I have to take full days off from eating entirely and just having like soup based diet for like a day just so I can calm everything down. And I too would consider that a part of my own wellness routine when I'm looking after myself after a period of time of probably not looking after myself. Now again, I'm not here to say that Gwyneth Paltrow's version of wellness is everybody's version of wellness, because simply put, there is no universally applicable wellness routine, because again, we're all humans, very diverse, with different body types, with different, illnesses and ailments and, aversions to things. Your wellness routine will depend on your lifestyle, your physical ability, your health, as well as your health concerns and your fitness goals. Your wellness routine is tailored to you and for you. And finding out what works for you in your body can take some time to get used to understand, through trial and error, and even in some cases medical testing. Anyway, after that whole entire shit show took place with Tess Holliday, she finally responded to some of the backlash it was that she was receiving in her Instagram stories. This is what Tess Holliday had to say. Do I believe that we should let people do what they want with their bodies? Yes. Do I believe that what people eat is none of my business? Also yes. My last post seems harsh to some of you. I understand. I've never been one to sugarcoat things, and I've posted that knowing that I might upset some of you. That's a risk I was willing to take because of the rise of ED is heartbreaking. I have compassion for folks struggling with disordered eating like myself. My concern is that we keep normalizing language like intermittent fasting, detoxing, etc., and it's causing real damage to not only the youth, but the folks of all age. To each their own, yes, but I also believe in do no harm. And lastly, to those who keep saying you're promoting obesity or you would be so mad if the tables were turned, me existing in my body isn't promoting anything. I don't tell folks to overeat, restrict, etc. I don't have an entire multi-million-dollar business selling diet products. I am definitely not perfect. I don't have it all figured out, but I also have never been one to be quiet about topics that I feel need more awareness. So basically, for all intents and purposes, Tess just doubled down. She tripled down, in fact, and told you all to go f yourselves. And despite the rampant hypocrisy that we have all just seen showcased in the way that it is that she wants the world to view her versus the way that it is that she reacts to the world in front of her is just absolutely mind-boggling. However, when it comes to this whole entire ordeal, I don't think that anybody's in the right or anybody's in the wrong. I believe that Gwyneth Paltrow should have the liberty to speak about her own wellness routine without people pointing the opposing finger and saying that she is promoting disordered eating. If you actually take the time to listen to the podcast in its entirety, actually it's very clear that when Gwyneth is speaking about her wellness routine, she is being extremely specific to her own case and her own version of dealing with long COVID. But I do understand, however, that with Gwyneth Paltrow having a wellness empire with Goop, that it could be seen as signal boosting what it is that she chooses to do for her body. But on the adverse side, I also don't think that Tess Holliday is correct either, because she is doing exactly to others what has been done to her, which is making an assumption of somebody else's perceived health based on information it is that they choose to share with you. Despite the fact I've already detailed that when it comes to Gwyneth Paltrow's day-to-day eating habits, there is a documented history of her eating much more than bone broth and vegetables. But this whole thing couldn't help but make me think about two individuals in the media right now who have been getting attacked based on their perceived health and body. For instance, we have Selena Gomez, a person who I recently did a video on. I'll leave a link somewhere at the top of the screen. She has recently put on weight, and because of that, she has had to essentially speak to her audience and speak to the world about her weight and her journey and the drugs it is that she's on that has caused her to gain weight. Because again, the world looked at Selena Gomez, saw that she was gaining weight and had an idea of her perceived health based upon that, which is what the body positivity community has been telling people for such a long time not to do.
So yeah, not a model, Never will be. And I think they're awesome, mind you. I definitely am definitely not that. So that's it. This is getting a little too much.
On the flip side, we have Ariana Grande, who has lost a significant amount of weight. And because of that, we have people telling her that she has anorexia nervosa and all other kinds of disordered eating, lifestyle patterns and habits. And again, I don't think that we should be talking to other people about their body, the way it is that they look, and what it is that they are putting inside their body. That is their decisions. But the idea that people, again, looked at Ariana Grande and her body, made a decision on her perceived health, and then decided to attack her to the point that she had to come to social media to speak about her body and health, again, is problematic.
There are many different kinds of beautiful. There are many different ways to look healthy and beautiful. I know personally for me, the body that you've been comparing my current body to was the unhealthiest version of my body. I was on a lot of antidepressants and drinking on them and eating poorly, and at the lowest point of my life when I looked the way you consider my healthy.
I just want to end by saying that wellness doesn't look the same to everybody. Wellness can be sitting down with a cup of tea and stroking your cat. Wellness can be doing 50 minutes of cardio because you know your body can do it. Wellness can mean eating an entire box of chocolates because it's that time of the month and fuck what everybody else thinks. Wellness is what it is that you do for you and your body and your mental health and your overall well-being that makes you feel good. So there should be no stipulations on what should make people feel good on their wellness journey. But what is a sickness is not allowing somebody to speak openly and publicly about their body and their health and their well-being and their mental well-being as well as their physical well-being, all because you dislike them, despite you building an entire career around notions of the same message.
It's been really hard, especially as a really sensitive cancer baby, to have like everyone judge me every single day on everything I do. There's no way that you can get to be in the position that I am and not have a strong backbone.
I've always said that when it comes to body positivity, it isn't about like the size that you are or the size that you're at in this moment or your body type or your body condition. It's mostly about how it is that you feel in yourself. And you have to love yourself within body positivity to want better and to want change for yourself. Body positivity is about not being sad about your existence, but loving your existence and loving it so much that you want more of it. So regardless of what side of the spectrum you're on, your body is only your business. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to today's video. This one was more of a rant video. I know I said I would like slip in these rant videos every so often. I also want to let you guys know that we are working on another video that will be coming to you guys next week. That video will be Supersized versus Super Skinny, a retrospective, which is a British TV show that was wild and would never be on TV today. So I'm definitely looking forward to going through that with you, so stay tuned. Anyway, with that being said, I just want to say a massive thank you to my members, my Patreons, as well as my Twitch fam. I really appreciate every single one of you. And also another reminder that I do stream on Twitch 2 nights a week. So with that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing day or evening, whatever the hell it is you're doing. Until next time, you beautiful, amazing, badass bitches. It's been Paige. Bye.